Hello, hello. We are live now on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So, wherever you're watching me from, whatever channel you're using now, you're very welcome. I'm happy to have you here. Today, we are going to talk about resumes for remote jobs. I'm Juliana Rabi, career coach for remote jobs, and I will review live some of your resumes. Yes, some of you watching today, send me your resume for review, and I will be happy to review them here. So let me just do some technical check-ins here just to make sure that the live is working properly. If you are watching me live, please comment and say hi and say if you can hear me, if you can see me well, just to make sure that the technical part is working properly. Okay, I will just do some check-ins here while people are joining the live. And please say hi in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me well. Let me check here. It looks like YouTube is working already. Let me see on LinkedIn. There is always a little bit of delay, right? When I enter live until the platforms start showing it. But if you're live, please let me know in the chat if you can hear me. So I know that it's showing up properly, right? To everyone live. Let me see here. We are going to talk about resumes for remote jobs today. So I'll share very detailed and specific feedback for you to improve your resume and make it amazing for remote jobs. If you're interested in remote jobs, if you want to start a remote career, okay? I think it's also live, but as I said, if you can say something in the chat, and I know there is a delay between when I say that, when you type, and I read your comments, so there is some delay here, but we're going to manage that. Dinfo said, hi, I can hear you and see you. Amazing. Thank you for the feedback. You're welcome here. Abigail said, hi, hello, nice to have you here. Okay, so it looks like on LinkedIn, it's streaming properly. I don't know yet on YouTube, no comments from there. So if anyone is watching from YouTube, please say hi, then I'll know it's working properly, okay? I also want to know for the ones who are live with me, because there will be people watching this recording later. So if you're watching, thank you for your time in advance. I will try my best to make it worthy. But if you're watching live, please type in the chat, where are you connecting from? Which country, which city are you connecting from? I normally have a very international audience, and I love it. I love it because I also have an international life and career, right? That's what we can do when we work remotely. So I know I talk to people globally, and it will be nice to know where are you connecting from today. So hi Maya, hi Elizabeth. So everyone who is live with me, please let me know where are you connecting from, which countries and which cities, and it will be nice to have this information. While you write in the chat where are you connecting from, I wanna explain you a little bit what's gonna happen today in this live event, okay? Last week, I posted about a similar live that I did. It was on Saturday, yes. So Saturday, I did part one of this live. I was reviewing other resumes, and I received so many resumes. So thank you very much for everyone who interact and send their resume to be evaluated. I had so many, I received so many resumes that I couldn't evaluate all of them in the first live. We stayed, I think, for like 1 hour and a half. It was already long. So I decided to do this part two event, which is this one happening now, and I will review more resumes. And the focus is always remote jobs. So how to improve your resume to make it more appealing, more attractive, more work better for you if you are applying for remote jobs. This is the idea of this live. So if you're also wondering if your resume is perfect, if you can improve something, if you're planning to apply for remote jobs, if you're trying to apply for remote jobs but not having much results, probably there is something that can be improved in your resume, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk about here, okay? All right, we have Hassan. He's connecting from YouTube. Thank you, Hassan, for writing. So I know that YouTube is also streaming it properly from Pakistan. Very nice. We have South Africa in the room. We have Nigeria. We have Zimbabwe. Wow, a lot of African countries. So everyone is very welcome. And I also want to explain you one more thing. Some of you who are watching the live today, some of you sent me your resume to be reviewed by me, right? And some of you will be lucky that I will be reviewing your resume today. So some of you watching will have your resume review live here. You're welcome to stay. You will enjoy what I'm doing here. Please say hi when I'm reviewing your resume so I know you're there, and then you can give me some feedback if you liked the review at the end. So this is option one. Maybe I will pick up your resume today to review live. Second option is that maybe you sent me your resume. You wanted it to be evaluated by me, but because of the high volume of resumes that I received, I won't be able to review your specific resume today. So apologies in advance, but please also stay in the live because I can guarantee that whatever I share about the other resumes will be helpful to you. Everything that I'm sharing is helpful to every job seeker who wants to apply for a remote job. So it doesn't really matter if it's your resume specifically, because you can also learn from other professionals' resume. Okay, so maybe I won't evaluate your resume, even if you send it to me, because of the high volume. But please stay in the live also. The third option is that you're here today because you read about the event. You want to learn more about resumes for remote job, but you didn't want to send your resume for any reason. That's also fine. As I said, everyone watching this live can learn from what I'm going to share today. Make sure you have pen and paper with you, or you open a file in your computer, in your phone, whatever, to take notes, because I've shared a lot of useful and practical things, okay? There's the fourth option, which is maybe you're randomly scrolling down on YouTube or LinkedIn and you saw about the live and you're like, well, I have nothing better to do now. I will watch the live. So if this is your case, you're also welcome to stay here, and hopefully you're going to take a lot of value out of this event, okay? Hassan is asking if he can get his resume reviewed right now if he had not sent it yet. I'm afraid not, because as I said, I already received a lot of resumes. I already selected from the ones I received. And another thing that I did is, I'll show you this. I'll show you the backstage here. You see this notebook full of notes. So I was actually doing my homework and preparing in advance what I'm going to share with you. Now, that's why I cannot take a resume now, because I studied every resume I will review today, and I will read my notes to share with you. Why are you doing that, Juliana? Because I want to make sure that I mention different things from different resumes and not always the same aspect to improve. My idea is to give you three different information about each resume. So putting it all together, you'll definitely be able to improve your resume. Also, last comment before I start sharing the resumes and we start talking about it, is that I will not focus on this live on the things that are good, that are well written on your resume. Okay, my focus of this live, the topic I chose for today, is aspects that can be improved in your resume for remote jobs. So my eyes will go only for the things that can be improved a little bit, that you can write differently to showcase better your skills, to make you more attractive as a candidate for remote companies. It doesn't mean, important this, it doesn't mean that the resumes that we will evaluate don't have good things. Actually, I will confess you that some resumes were even hard to find something that could be improved, because some of them were like really, really good. So well done to everyone that will show the resume. There are amazing resumes here, but as I said, just to be just to limit to the topic that I chose for this live, I will talk about things that can be improved. But it doesn't mean that the resumes don't have amazing things, because they do. They do. Some, you see that. You see the level of resumes that I have here. They are really, really good. Nice. Someone else in the chat from Atlanta, Georgia, originally from Ethiopia. Nice. You're all very welcome. And now we are going to start talking about the resumes. Who is excited here? I am excited. Let's agree on something. Let's keep the chat alive. Keep talking to me through the chat. I mean, I cannot see you, but I don't want to feel lonely here just talking, to camera. So please share your feedback during the resume review. Ask me questions. If you have an insight, anything that's like, wow, Juliana, this that you said gave me an idea that I can implement in my resume. Anything that you want to share related to this topic, of course, will be very welcome in the chat. So please use the chat. I will read it from time to time, okay? But I want to see your interaction with me. Don't let me speak alone here. With that said, I'm ready to start presenting the first resume. Yes, Tanya Alvarez. Tanya, I don't know if you are watching us live. If you are, please say hi. I would love to know that you're here, right? Otherwise, you can always watch the recording. But if you're here, Tanya Alvarez, please say hi, because I'm going to start reviewing your resume right now. Let's go. Every time I look here, down is to my notebook. Remember that I was taking notes here and I did my homework. So I prepared the comments I will share about each resume to add even more value to you, and don't repeat always the same things, all right? So for Tanya Alvarez, I have here my notes, my feedback about things that can be improved on her resume. So let's start. All right. I want to talk about this part here that I am highlighting in Tanya's resume, okay? So she shared her contact details, right? Her name, and then here, actually, this is the part. It's this one, actually. She shared her name, and then here on the side, she mentioned like her email, and then phone number, and then LinkedIn, the link to her LinkedIn profile. Nice. And then here, right under the name, she mentioned procurement and supply chain director. Why am I mentioning that to Tanya and to everyone watching that? It is nice that you write on your resume the kind of job you want to apply for, okay? The job title of the remote job you're applying for. There are mainly two reasons to do it. There are two reasons why I recommend that you add the job title you want to apply for in your resume. Reason number one is that for the recruiter, it makes it very clear that that resume was created specifically for that company and for that position. So it doesn't give the feeling that you're using the same resume to, spray and pray, if you know this expression, right? You apply to 20 jobs per day randomly with the same resume. This doesn't look good. Looks like you don't really know what you're going for. So when you put the job title, it looks like, okay, this resume was specifically written to me, to my company. So it looks good. So for the human, for the recruiter who will read that, it will look good. But there is a second reason, which is the algorithm, the robot, the system, the software that filter resumes when you apply through LinkedIn, when you apply through a career a job board, a career webpage, or through remote job board. When you apply through a platform, let me open the window. It's a bit hot here. Yeah, I hope it doesn't get very noise. There is a construction right in front, but it's hot here. So sorry. When you apply through a platform like LinkedIn, like the career companies page, or like the a specific remote job board, probably there will be some kind of software or machine filtering the resume. So imagine that 200 people applied for the job, and then recruiters don't have time to check 200 resumes, right? They will check maybe 20, 30. So how do you go from 200 applicants to 20 applicants? How do you filter that so the recruiter will start checking that? There is a machine behind the platform doing that. So when you write the specific job title that you're applying for, it increases the chances that your resume appears when recruiters are searching for a supply chain director or a procurement. So it is good to add that in your resume. My comment here for Tanya, for everyone else, is that make sure you change that every time you apply for a different position, right? So if the position you apply for is not called supply chain director, if it is a supply chain manager or senior supply chain, for example, there is no point of mentioning supply chain director, because then they will know that that resume was not created specifically for that job. So this is not wrong, Tony. It's just like a reminder to everyone that you should mention the job title that you're applying for, but remember to change that before you send the resume to each company. All right, that's my first company about Tanya's resume. Then, okay, about the work experience. I will scroll down a little bit, and we are going to talk about this part here, okay, the work experience. So check what Tanya did here. She mentioned the company's name, right? For each company that she worked, she followed the same structure, right? First, company's name, and then after that, she put into like parentheses, right? She mentioned the industry, right? That the company was belonging. So this is a consulting industry. This is a electricity generation company. industrial sector, right? Beverage and chocolate, and then telecommunications. This is nice because if the recruiter is not familiar with the company itself, especially when we talk about remote jobs, you are going to deal with recruiters from all over the world. So maybe this is a famous company in her country, but the recruiter might not know. So it's good to give some context, some further information. And the way Tanya did that was adding, like in 1 or 2 words, summarizing the industry or the kind of company it is. There is another way, Tanya, that you can do it, the next level of it, that will give even more information to the recruiter, is instead of just summarizing in 1 or 2 words which kind of company is it, you can add the link to the company's page. Yeah, the www dot, and then maybe itselarts.com. I don't know the website, but like add the website link here. Why? Because if the recruiter wants to know more about the company, maybe also how many employees, where is the company is located, what is the the main service or product they serve. If the recruiter want to know more about the company, they can just click on the link, the company's link, and go to the company's website. So better than just summarizing the industry or the kind of company in 1 word, I would suggest, Tanya and everyone else, that you add the link to the company's website. So you give all the information that you need to the recruiter if he want to check that. Okay. And also, okay, now we go to education. So I will scroll down a little bit more. We will review this part here. Okay, education. So check what Tanya did here. She mentioned the name of the university, then the course that she did. This was a bachelor degree, science in international trade. Then she mentioned the location, right? And then she mentioned the date. That's fine. Like the 4 information that she shared about each study is relevant. But what do you think that can be improved here? Let me see if you're going to notice that. I'm talking about this experience and this one here. Let me see if someone will guess that. If you guess, you can write on the chat. Let me know. Write on the chat what can be improved in the education part of Tanya's resume. While you write, and I'll read you soon, I'll tell you that, look, this experience finished in 2014 is more recent than this one. So actually, she first studied at the university until November 2009, right? And then after she went to the business school and finished the MBA in 2014. So the order, Tanya, that you present your education should be always from the most recent one to the older one. So actually, if this is the last study that you had, the last education course, this should come first, okay? Why? Because that's the order that you're presenting your work experience, so it just makes sense that you align every information you share will be from the most recent one to the oldest one. That's why you started with your current job here, the job you have until the present, and the education, Tanya, make sure that the most recent one always come first, and then if you had one course in 2012, for example, it would come after this and then the bachelor degree. So education and work experience, it's recommended that you always start from the most recent one, maybe the one that you're doing at the moment, and then you start going back in time to the older ones. All right. Those are the comments I had about Tanya's resume. Small details, small things that at the end they help to improve and to offer, a better quality and help you to stand out from other candidates. I also want to know, before moving to the next resume, let me go to the next page here in my notebook. I want to know in the chat, if you don't mind sharing, I would love to know what is your main issue when writing a resume for remote jobs, because I get this complaint all the time. A lot of job seekers, I talk to job seekers looking for remote jobs every single day. That's what I do for a living, right? I'm a career coach who helps people to land remote jobs. So I have a lot of conversation with professionals like you, interested in starting a remote career or improve the job that they have if it's already remote or hybrid. If they want to go to the next step of their career, they talk to me, right? And I always get this complaint saying like, Juliana, I don't know how to write my resume for a remote job. It's very difficult. I don't feel confident about it. I don't know if my resume is good. So I'm curious to know what is the main issue actually that you face when writing your resume for remote jobs. So if you can let me know, I will really appreciate it. And also, if you say the chat is very quiet, so if someone can confirm that you can still see me, hear me, just say hi in the chat. Okay, Ana Beatriz said hi. Hi, Ana. Hi. So yes, she is on YouTube. So YouTube is good. Can someone on LinkedIn just confirm that everything is okay? Just write okay in the chat, so I know that the transmission is good. And also, as I'm asking here, what is your main issue when writing a resume for a remote job? I really want to know, because I know this is something that that happens. I know this is a common complaint, because people tell me that all the time, but sometimes I don't know what exactly is the struggle. What is the specific thing that you don't know how to do in your resume for a remote job? What is the specific struggle that you are facing? Oh, wait, before I share the next one, let me just read. Okay, always good. Thank you for confirming that. Very good. Abigail, hi. Okay, thank you. Thank you for confirming that. I appreciate it. So we can go to the second resume that we are going to review live today. It's from Jennifer. Jennifer Roop. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the surname properly. So Jennifer, if you're watching live, please say hi. It will be nice to know that you are here. Jennifer, if you are here, just say hi. I want to feel your energy here live if you're here. So let me see what I wrote down here for Jennifer resume, right? Okay, I know the first thing. Jennifer mentioned her contact details here, right, in the initial part of the resume. And then the second part is highlights, right? In highlights, she kind of summarized the main information about her experience, about her resume, the main thing she wanted to drive the recruiter's attention for. It's very recommended to have a highlight or a summary in the profile. So this part is good. But check that. I was reading the highlights, right? It's good, like it. But then I kept reading the resume, and then I moved to the professional experience, and look what I found. Check that. Remote. She wrote remote on her current job, this one. How do you know it's the current one? Because she wrote present. So look how interesting. She wrote remote here. What it means is that in this job as a senior copywriter and editor, freelancer editor, she was working remotely. And this is amazing because she is interested in remote jobs, right? And she has remote experience. But not only that, look at this. I kept scrolling down her resume and look at this. Second remote work experience. How amazing is that? So actually, Jennifer has been working remotely, look at this, since August 2021, since the pandemic, right? So she has almost 2 years of experience working remotely, which is amazing. So if you have remote work experience, listen to me, you want to highlight that in your resume. You want to make it clear to the recruiters, because it is one thing that recruiters value when selecting candidates for remote companies. It's not the only one. Don't worry if you don't have remote work experience, but if you do, I mean, let's talk about it, right? Let's find ways to tell the recruiter, hey, I already have remote work experience. So that's exactly the case of Jennifer. But then here comes the mistake, Jennifer. In the highlights here, the second block of information in your resume, right after the contact details, you didn't refer to remote work. I had to keep scrolling down and reading your resume to figure it out, to discover that you work remotely. So please make sure that in the highlights or in the summary, some people call it summary, it doesn't really matter the name, you name it. The most important thing is that you have here condensed information that highlights, that showcase the most relevant information about your profile, most relevant for the position you want to apply for. Okay, it's always related to that specific job, because if you apply for a different remote job, the highlights might be different depending on what they're looking for. So whatever you highlight, whatever you summarize in your resume should be about the specific job description you are applying for, all right? But in this case, Jennifer and everyone with remote work experience, if you want to work remotely, saying that you already have remote work experience is extremely important. So make sure that you mention that in the highlights and not only in further parts of your resume, like, for example, in the professional experience. So please add here in one of those phrases or create a new phrase to say something like over 2 years experience or almost 2 years experience working remotely, familiar with a remote work environment, confident and experience in working remotely with remote teams, something along those lines. Okay. What else? Okay. Bullet points. Do you know what is a bullet point? I will scroll down here a little bit just to make it more visual for you. We'll talk about the professional experience and then the bullet points. This is a bullet point, this small black dot, right? That you kind of structure the text like that. You break into shorter phrases, not a long text, not only one paragraph. So she wrote different bullet points. This is one bullet point, this is another one, this is another one. So everything that starts with this black dot is a bullet point. Bullet points are a nice way to write a resume. So I recommend you to use that if your resume is not yet written in bullet points, because it just makes it easier to read. It forces you to write shorter phrases. So it's also good. It's not like a 3 lines phrase, which is long, and then the recruiter can get lost while reading that. It just makes it more reader friendly, let's say like that. It's just easier to read the bullet point. But now here comes the thing. Structuring your resume in bullet points is good, but what you write in each bullet point is also very important, because if you write the wrong information, if you write a weak information, if what you write is not relevant to the job, then it's not only about the structure, it's also about the content. So Jennifer, my suggestion to you is that you take your bullet points to the next level, that you improve even more the way your bullet points are written. I will take one, I'll share one example here. Okay, I'll pick up this one. Could be any of them, I just want to share one example. This one that I highlighted in the first job, right? So she wrote, engage, it's this one, okay? This one I highlighted in blue. Let me highlight again so you know which one I'm talking about the first job. So she wrote, engaged with a diverse range of clients with unique needs in the insurance, healthcare, and financial industries. Amazing. So what Jennifer did here, she described what she did. She was engaging with clients who had specific needs. I don't know which ones she didn't share, but they had specific needs in those 3 sectors: insurance sector, healthcare sector, and financial industries. And what happens later? I have no idea. What was the result of her engaging with those clients? I don't know. Why was it relevant that she was engaging with those clients? No idea. What was the positive impact that Jennifer generated for her company because she engaged with clients? I have no idea, because she only described the situation. More than describing what you want to do in your bullet points, Jennifer and everyone else, is to talk about the impact that the specific action or task or project you did had for the company. In other words, you want to talk about achievements. So instead of describing, go straight to improved the client retention by 30% due to a strategic engagement with them and solving their specific needs. You see the difference? I'm talking about increased 30% retention in the contract, or saved the client's budget, or improved their the quality of the services they the landing page they created, increased their conversion, because she's a copywriter. So let's say her the conversion rate of the clients improved because of the quality of the service she was doing. Think always some steps ahead, and instead of describing what you did, it's a very common mistake in resumes. That's what most of job seekers do, we describe tasks on the resume. This is basic resume level. If you want to take your resume to the next level, and you should do that if you want to apply for a remote job, because competition is very high. So you don't want a normal resume, one resume that looks just like all the other resumes. No, let's go together to the next level. Talk about the impact, how that thing that you did saved the company's budget, or increased sales, or the number of people you're leading, how many projects you are writing, the conversion rate, a prize that you won, a compliment that you received from your manager because you did an excellent job. So think about the positive impact, the achievements, and forget about, move on, leave behind describing things. Like here, this is describing again, utilize many multiple channels and created compelling content to engage target audience. Did she increase the engagement level? Did she increase the company's sales? This is more relevant than just say I use different marketing channels. That's basic. The next level is what was the impact of that, okay? And this is a very common mistake I see job seekers doing. So if your resume is too descriptive, let's shift the mindset and let's go to impact, achievements, results that you generate instead of just describing the task. Nobody wants a task-based resume. You want, from now on, promise me you want an achievement-based resume or a result-based resume, okay? And then the third comment for Jennifer, oh yes, I mentioned that in the previous resume, but I will say this again. Look, she put it all the highlights here and all of that, but I don't know for which job she's applying for. So my suggestion is that here, before the highlight, I won't be able to write because, yeah, it's a PDF format, I cannot touch it. But before the highlight, I suggest that you add, like you write position, and then you say, for example, senior copywriter for Dell or for whatever remote company you're applying for the same reasons that I mentioned before. It gives the feeling to the recruiter that that resume was created specifically for that company. So it's good from the recruiter's point of view, but also for the algorithm if they are looking for that specific job title or combination of words, you increase the chances that your resume will appear. So I recommend to write the job title that you are applying for. The same way they call it on the position, you copy and paste the name and you mention that in your resume. Okay, so yes, those were the comments about Jennifer resume. So Jennifer, I don't know if you're here. If you are, say hi. If not, I hope you're watching the live and you can yeah, make those small improvements in your resume to increase it. Very good. Let me check the chat here. Let me take a look what we have here in the chat before we move to the next resume. Ana Beatriz said that she started use the chat GPT and she thinks that the issues is the robotic phrases. Well, let me tell you this. I recently gave a class about chat GPT and how to use it to improve your remote job search. When you use chat GPT, if you use it, if you're not using, you should start using, okay? Because it will save you a lot of time, will increase the quality of your work, and then doing the job search, you'll be able to focus on the things that actually requires your brain and not the, you know, the manual things. So you should start using it. But remember, if you don't review the text, if you don't make adjustments, if you don't correct things that might sound too formal or not correct to your profile, it will sound like Ana Beatriz shared in the chat, robotic phrases. So what we get from artificial intelligence is the first step. It's a help. It's a very nice idea, probably, but you need to review it and make sure that it sounds good, that doesn't sound like a robot, like she said, and that it makes sense according to your experience, according to your career journey. So don't just copy and paste from Chat GPT because you probably will have issues with that. It will sound weird, the resume. So you get the help from Chat GPT, that's amazing, but keep your eyes on the document and make the changes that are necessary, okay? Hassan shared that my specific issue is making an ATS compliant ATS compliant and getting a good rank for my resume. Hassan, one of the resumes I will review today, I will talk more about ATS and things that most of the ATS programs doesn't like, okay? So stay with me, I will touch this topic soon. For the ones who are not familiar with ATS, right? Because he said he wants to make his resume ATS compliant. So what does he mean? ATS stands for applicant tracking system, applicant tracking system. So it is, I mentioned that earlier today, the algorithm or the software or the robot that filter resumes when you apply through a platform. When you apply through LinkedIn, there is an ATS system behind. There is a software that you can combine some words. You can say, for example, I'm looking for a senior copywriter that speaks English and Dutch, that also is familiar with Canvas, and that is familiar with Zoom also, for example. So I filter using those criteria, and the system will bring from 200 applicants, 300, 400, whatever number it is, to a reduced number of resumes that meet the requirement. A lot of things will influentiate on it. I will talk more about it, but just to explain what is ATS, and you want to make sure that your resume is ATS friendly, because then it increases the chance that it will go from the platform to a human person that will check that. Okay, so Hassan will talk more about it soon. Melody, hi Melody, nice to have you here. Abigail said, my specific issue, also making it ATS compliant, same thing, as it seems I get screened out easily by the software. Okay, we'll talk more about it. Maya is asking, I would like to ask about keywords in resume. Is it something we should make research by ourselves? There are different ways to do it, okay? Maya, you can, for example, use, there is a program, it's for free. You can just chat. It's not a program, it's a website actually, not even need to download it. It's called Tag Crowd. So if someone finds it and want to share in the chat, I will appreciate. So Tag Crowd, it will ask you to copy and paste the job description you want to apply for, maybe 2 or 3 job descriptions you want to apply for, and then it will highlight the words that appears more often, the words that repeat. So this is one way to identify the keywords, because they repeat more times, like different times in the job description. You can ask also ChatGPT about it. You can copy and paste maybe 5 job descriptions for the same, for similar jobs that you want to apply for, and you can ask, would you please highlight the keywords for those 5 jobs considering the job descriptions below, and then you copy and paste the job description. So ChatGPT will extract that for you, and you can do it. You can do the research by yourself. How do you do it? You just read the job description, and the higher the data, the bigger the data you have, the better. So if you check in only one job description, you will have one information, but if you check like 5, 10 job description, you will start noticing things that repeat, and then it's going to be easier to identify what are the keywords. So let's imagine you are a project manager and you have 10 different job descriptions, 10 jobs that you want to apply for, and you notice that in all of them, they ask for agile methodology, for example. So if 10 out of 10 mention agile methodology, I would say this is clearly a keyword, because it is something that different remote companies looking for the same profile are looking for. Maybe it doesn't appear in the 10 job description, but it appears in 8, in 7. So, whatever repeats, you want to pay attention. So you can do that by yourself, Maya, or you can use some tools like ChatGPT and TagCrowd to help you in the process, okay? Yeah, someone said it's a good opportunity to try ChatGPT. Very good. Thanks for the contribution here. Ana Beatriz is saying that she reviews the text that ChatGPT suggests to make it more natural. Yes, make sure you do that. Yeah. Someone, I don't see the name here because we are very far away in our connection. So I just see you as LinkedIn user, but LinkedIn user, you are welcome. I just cannot see your name here. Is asking if does it matter if a customized resume for a specific job does not match a portal profile? I'm not sure I understand the question. If you can explain that again, I didn't get the question, apologies. Let me keep going with the next resume and then I'll go back to the chat. Keep the comments and the questions going. I'll just move to the next resume. Abigail, you were here before, right? So let me know if you're still here because I will review your resume now. Abigail, yes. Let's go to her resume. Where is it? Here. Abigail, are you still there? If you are, this is your resume. Let's review it together. Yes, Tag Crown, Maya, thanks for sharing that in the chat. Amazing. Abigail, are you still there? I have your resume here. Let's do the review together here. Look for Abigail resume. Okay, first comment. She mentioned her name here. First thing in the resume, correct. That's how you should start the resume. You don't need to write resume, curriculum, CV. No, just write your name. That's enough. That's correct. She did it right. And then the second line, she wrote this remote, and then this slash, like this bar, and she wrote independent. Abigail, I didn't understand. I don't really understand what you mean by, let me see if I can highlight only that. No, I cannot highlight only that, but I want to talk about the independent. I understand what remote means. That's actually a good thing to mention if you have remote work experience, and I see you do, because look, when I scroll down to her experience, I find remote here. So amazing for bringing that up and call the recruiter's attention for that. Very good. So the word remote is the second one right after your name. I like it, but I don't understand what you mean by independent. Is it like that you worked as a freelancer or independent contributor, like you're not leading a team? So the word independent, at least for me, was not very clear. If it was not very clear to me, there is a chance that it won't be clear to other people also. So it doesn't mean I'm the smartest person ever. That's not my point. But like, we don't want to add information in the resume that can be unclear. We want to try at least to make it the more clear, the better. Okay. So I don't really understand what you mean by independent. Maybe you want to explain in the chat, but remember that when you send a resume to a recruiter, to a remote company, you don't have a chat like we have now in the live to explain what you mean by independent, right? So the resume should be self-explanatory. That's a very good information actually for everyone. Things need to be clear in your resume in a way that people read it and they understand it. If what you write in your resume is generating doubts, if it is incomplete, if it's not very clear, it's not a good information to go on the resume. Resume should be self-explanatory. Apart from it, it should be appealing. It should be so interesting that recruiters say, oh, I want to interview this person. The purpose of the resume, the function of the resume is to get you job interviews. It's not to get you the job, because you need to go through interviews or through tests or panel interview or different steps, background check, whatever. So the purpose of the resume is to get you interviews. So whatever is written on the resume should be very clear. And when I read, Abigail, the word independent, it doesn't get, I don't really know what you're talking about. So my suggestion is that you or remove this word or you write it in a different way if you consider it's relevant, okay? I know the second thing that I wrote here is still in the contact details. She wrote her email address, very important to have the email on the resume, so well done for that. And then she wrote her the link to her LinkedIn profile. The technical name is URL, but pretty much is the link that people will click and will go to her LinkedIn profile. It is very important also to mention that. So if your resume doesn't have the link to your LinkedIn profile, please make sure that you add that. Why, Juliana? Because recruiters will check you on LinkedIn once they receive your resume, or they will see you, find you on LinkedIn, and then they will check your resume. So resume and LinkedIn will always go together. So it adds a lot of value if you make the recruiter's life easier and you add the LinkedIn profile, because they can just click and go to her profile and keep reading about her, keep knowing her, and checking if she is a good candidate for the job they're recruiting for. So highly recommended that you add the link to your LinkedIn profile. But then if you're going to do that, make sure your link, your URL, is written in a professional way, right? What is wrong here with her profile? Let me highlight this again. You see, you have her name, Abigail. I don't know how to pronounce the surname. Apologies for that. Ijave. I'm sorry if it's not like that. And then there are those, the final part of the link, right? This blue one here. The final part is a combination of random numbers and letters, 69A082155. What does those numbers mean, Juliana? Nothing. Those numbers, they just, LinkedIn creates them automatically when you create your new profile. So two options here. Or you also have those random numbers in your LinkedIn URL, in the link to your profile. So you might want to check that later. Don't leave the live now. Write it down in your notebook and you check it later. So, or you have it because automatically LinkedIn creates links like that. Now, a name, surname, and then those random numbers. Or you did what I will suggest that Abigail do today. You already removed those numbers. This is the best option. This is what I suggest you. How do I do that, Juliana? Well, you need to go on LinkedIn, and I won't go there right now because I want to focus on the resume. But when you enter in your LinkedIn profile, you enter inside the profile, not in your feed where you see the news, the posts and all of that. You enter in your profile, you click in me on the upper right part, and then there is customize. It's the first option that appears right under your photo and the word me. You can click on customize LinkedIn URL, and then you click on this, click there. The link will open and you just delete those weird and unnecessary random numbers and letters. So ideally her LinkedIn URL, the link to her profile, will be just until here. We'll finish after her surname. Why? Because it looks more professional, okay? You can also add your job title here, a keyword that's more advanced, but to make it easier, just make sure that you remove those random numbers and letters, and then you add this better link in your resume, okay? And okay, the other comment for Abigail profile is about the skills, okay? She listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 skills here. What do you think about that? This is structure that she wrote. Skills and then 13 skills. Let me know in the chat just to see if you identify what I see here before I say it. But what do you think that can be improved in this part here, the skills part? Let me know in the chat. Curious to see if you are learning and start thinking like a recruiter, because that's very powerful skill, right? When you start thinking like a recruiter, you easily will identify areas in your resume that can be improved. Write in the chat, I'll check it later. But let me share my feedback about it. She listed 13 skills, okay? And some of them, they are hard skills, like specific things, programs like this one, for example, CRM software. So she said that she has the skill of using CRM softwares, and she listed 3 of them. That's good. That's clear. So she spoke about the skill and she shared 3 examples of the programs that she knows, the CRM program. That's good. But look at this. Communication skills. This is a soft skill. This is not something that we can measure. This is not a program. This is not, this is kind of a fluffy thing. It is very important, communication skills for remote jobs. Don't take me wrong. Actually, in my experience and in many articles that I read, communication is the main skill for remote jobs. If there is no communication, if you don't know how to write properly, how to be on a video, speak over the phone, you will be a failure as a remote employee. So it is very important. But when Abigail lists communication skills, and that's it, out of context, without example, it's kind of flying in the air. It doesn't add much value, okay? Same as customer interactions. Well, you can have bad customers interaction. You can interact with customers and be terrible at doing this. My point is skills like that, soft skills, just listed on the resume without any context, without demonstrating that you have that, they don't add much value. Customer satisfaction, so vague, right? Different than, say, increased customer satisfaction by 25% in only 6 months due to a better follow-up after the sales call. Totally different, right? Than just write customer satisfaction. So my invitation here, Abigail, and to everyone else is that be careful if you add a list of skills in your resume. If you do, my suggestion is that you go for hard skills like this, okay? Like this. Here, maybe she could mention some, if there is a specific chat or email that she's familiar with, she could specify even more. But this kind of soft skills alone, without a context, without more details, they are like multitasking, the customer satisfaction, problem solving, all those things, they get a bit, they lose their power. It's more powerful if you use the idea. If you want to talk about communication skills, you should, because you're applying for a remote job. So communication is one of the things that you need to do when you work remotely. But make sure you talk about it on maybe a bullet point regarding to a job, so you can develop more the idea, or even here, and then you explain, you give one example, you demonstrate that you have that, instead of just listing the soft skills without any context, without further information. Okay. Abigail, are you? Oh, yes, you are here. Okay. She said that she meant as her location. Okay, independent. Let me bring it down here. Here, right? We're talking about independent. Yeah. As I said, it was not clear to me, so it might not be clear to other people. So you can add independent location, or you just remove it, because when you say remote, it's implicit already the independent location comment, right? So yeah, I think, as I said, the resume should be clear enough so people don't have questions about it. They want to talk more to you about it, but not because they have questions, because they are impressed, and because your experience is really what they're looking for. Your skills, your the things you bring to the company is exactly what they are looking for. Okay, Ana Beatriz said independent is the same as autonomous, as she saw this on some positions on LinkedIn. Okay, if the job you're applying for, they use the word independent, then of course you're going to use the word on the resume. You should always speak the same language as the job description. But if they don't use this term, then you can use, you don't use it, or you use a term that they are also using. Someone that I don't see the name, that appears to me as LinkedIn user, because we are not connected. By the way, this LinkedIn user, make sure you send me a connection request on LinkedIn so I can see your name. But this person that I cannot see the name shared, skills should be demonstrated in job task performance descriptions. Exactly. Give some context, demonstrate that, if possible, with numbers and percentage. That's even more powerful. Priscilla said, skills is irrelevant information. They can see your performance on the interview. Well, Priscilla, the thing is that to get an interview, you will probably need to send your resume first, right? So the way you present yourself, the way you sell yourself on the resume as a marketing material will get you the interview. So if you just trust the interview to demonstrate that you have the skill, you might never get there. So you write about the skill, you write in a way that you demonstrate that, explaining, giving more context, sharing numbers and percentage, and demonstrating the impact that you had and how you implement, how you use that skill. And then when you go for the interview, you will perform the skill, right? You will show that. They'll probably ask you more questions about it, but your resume should showcase the skills that you have. Otherwise, you might never go to the interview. Okay. Thanks for the comments. That's nice. Keep them coming. Before we move to the next resume, I want to share one thing here. Let me put it on the screen. Yes, this very important thing. Attention here. Since yesterday, registrations to my group mentoring program are open. You can grab your phone and scan this QR code. You're going to be directed to a very beautiful landing page that share all the details of how you can work with me directly to have my support in your remote job search. So basically, We are going to be together for 2 months, and you will have all my support. Everything that you need related to your remote job search, I will be there to help you with that. So first, you will have unlimited access to me. You can ask me any questions like you're asking in the chat, and even more in details. You can ask me questions like that every single day, because you're going to be part of a Telegram community. I will be in the community. You will be in the community. So you can ask me any questions, and I'll be there to support you for 2 full months. So you have access to this, to my brain, to my 15 years experience as a recruiter, to my 9 years working remotely, to my 3.5 years as a career coach. All of that is available to you if you join the group mentoring for 2 months. So my full support to your remote job search. Another thing that you get is 8 live sessions with me on a Zoom call. We talk about things that are important for you landing a remote job, and all those live calls, they will be recorded. So in case you cannot make it for any reason, you don't miss anything. Don't worry about it. They will be all available on the platform, on a site, a place that will record the live sessions, and we'll upload them there. You also have access to this platform that I mentioned. Right now, there are 60 material already on the platform for you, with pre-recorded videos, activities, checklist, articles, additional material, everything. So you can use the platform in your own rhythm. There is a lot of useful material there. You have access to the platform for 1 year. So there is no overwhelming, there is no rush. We have the live sessions, you have access to me for 2 months, and you have the material in the platform for 1 year. So you have everything that you need to land a remote job. This is the QR code. You go to the website, you check all the details, you can save your spot, you can make the registrations there. We are starting next week, 31st of May. So check it out. Write me a message if you have any question, if you want to know more, and then I can answer your questions. But we are starting next week. I would love to have you there if you're serious about landing a remote job and improving your career. Okay? That said, let's go to Zoraida. Zoraida, I don't know if you are here live. Zoraida, we're going to review her resume right now. Zoraida, are you here? Say hi in the chat if you are. Oh, the LinkedIn user. We are connected. Anya, yes, Anya, I cannot see your name. That's weird, right? I see here as LinkedIn user. Yes, sometimes there are some issues with LinkedIn platform. I hear you, definitely. So, but anyways, nice that we are connected. That's good. That's what matters. Zoraida, I don't know if you are live. If you are, please say hi, because we are going to review your resume right now. So let me start that. Zoraida's resume. Let me see what I wrote here. All right. I have one comment here about the professional summary. So remember, in the previous resume, the person named this section here, this part here, the person named it as highlights, and Zoraida is naming it professional summary. It doesn't really matter the name. The important thing is that after this part, which is the your contact details, you have the highlights or the professional summary. You have like shorter version of your resume that speaks directly to the job you're applying for. So everything in this professional summary or highlight should be extremely fully relevant to the job you're applying for. So the recruiters read that and it's like, this is a good resume. I will keep reading. That's the function of the summary, to convince the recruiter that it's worth his time to keep reading. So only the things that speaks directly, that match directly the requirements in the job description. What she wrote is nice, but then I was, reading the resume, I was scrolling down, and then attention to this very important information here. You see, in her current job, I mean, she finished in May, right? 1 month ago. But she mentioned that she was 100% remotely from 2001 onwards. So 2 years of remote work experience. You probably are guessing already what I'm going to say, right? Zoraida, if you worked remotely for 2 years, almost 2 years, a bit more than 2 years, please make sure you mention this here. You listed a lot of interesting things like 10 years of experience. You mentioned some skills that I'm assuming they are related to the to the job. I don't know which job you had in mind when you created this resume, but you didn't mention here that you have remote work experience. And once again, if you want to apply for remote jobs, if you have remote work experience, you need to highlight that as many times as possible. So please use the summary to do it. Please use the career summary. So when you talk about the job that you work remotely, you mentioned, like she did, in the bullet points, she can also write a bullet point and share something about working remotely, maybe how she could handle teams with 10 people distributed globally. That's a nice way to say. Or say that her performance met all the KPIs after shifting for a full remote work environment. It's another way to say that. So you want to repeat this idea so the recruiter really gets that you have remote work experience. So Zoraida has remote work experience, but she didn't mention that in the professional summary. So make sure that you do it. You can add one more line, or you can maybe review and see if something that is a bit too fluffy and not really that relevant, and you replace that for the information that you worked remotely before. Okay. I also wrote one suggestion, but there are many ways that you can mention that you work remotely in the summary. But for example, my idea here is like experienced working in a remote work environment. As easy as that. Experienced working in a remote work environment, but you can write with your own words. It's just that you highlight, you mention that as soon as possible in the resume that you have remote work experience. Okay. What else? Okay, I know it. We are going to scroll down for the career summary. Okay. So she mentioned like the last job and then some bullet points, key achievements, then another job. So we have here this second job, right? I'll keep scrolling down. Key achievements, nice. Officer manager. And then this is the part I want to talk about here, Zoraida. You mentioned earlier career history, okay? What do I need to say? What do I want to say about this part? This is a very old work experience, right? There are more than 23 years that she worked in this company. How do you know that, Juliana? Well, because I know she finished in December and she worked there for 6 years. So yeah, when she finished this job, she finished almost 23 years ago, right? 2000 and year 2023. In this case, if the work experience is old, and what I'm considering old here as a reference, okay, because everything is relative, but as a general information, I would say go back in time in your resume mentioning 10 years back. So we are in 2023. So for sure, I want to see in your resume until 2020, 2013. So 2013 until 2023. But Juliana, my case is different because the job, for example, in this case, if she says that, look, office manager, it's older than 10 years, this job. But Juliana, what I did as an officer manager is very, very related to the job I'm applying for. The tasks I did here, they match a lot the job description that I'm going to apply for. Well, in this case, of course, you want to mention that. So maybe you want to shorten up a more recent experience that is not that relevant for the job. So you have space in your resume to talk about that older job that speaks directly to the job you want to apply for. So there are exceptions, but overall, as a general rule, just to give you some guidance, go back in time 10 years, okay? She went much, much further because look here, this job finished in 2009, and then, but she only considered early career story, this one, right? My suggestions, right, is that most likely you don't need to mention that because, as I said, it's old, and I'm using the word old here with respect, okay? So I'm not minimizing the job experience. I'm sure it was important for you in many ways, personally and professionally, but it's less relevant because it happened 23 years ago. Things have changed, the job market, the system, you have changed. So what happened 23 years ago is less relevant than what happened last year in your career journey, right? So it's not that relevant to mention that. Also, it can give the impression that you are too old. That's unfortunately a judgment that some recruiters will make of you, right? And also that you are overqualified for the job. Wow, she has been working for so many years. She will just stay with us for a short period of time and then she's going to leave. Some recruiters will think like that. So to avoid all of that, I will say, unless this job is extremely relevant and connected to the job you want to apply right now, Zoraida, I would suggest that you remove this, because we went already too much back in time. You have much more than 10 years in detail listed in your resume, so you don't need to keep that. Otherwise, it also make the resume like very dense with too much information. It's like, wow, I almost feel lazy about reading it. So you want to save a space in the resume for the things that are really relevant and that will help to sell you as the best candidate for the remote job you're applying for. So something you did 23 years ago, unless you convince me differently, I will say it's not necessary that you add on the resume. Okay. Yes, I think that's it for Zoraida. I don't know if she's here or not. She was present in the live, I think, on the weekend. I don't remember which one, but she was commenting in previous lives. So yeah, I wish she could be here today. Let me know in the chat, the ones who are watching live, if this is helpful, if you're taking some ideas for your own resume, if you are learning how to improve it. I still have some more resume here. Let me just check the time. Okay, wow, we passed 1 hour already. Thanks for staying with me until now. Thanks for watching the recording. If you're watching that, I will go a bit more. I have some more resumes here, so if you want to stay with me, you are welcome here. And as always, please talk to me in the chat. Let me know if this is helpful. If you are getting some insights, share your insights here while I go to the next resume. Okay, who is that? Oh, okay, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing properly the name. Sorry. Miyuru. I think that's the way to pronounce it. Apologies if it's not correct. Miyuru. All right. Are you here, Miyuru? Are you here? If you are, please say hi in the chat. It will be nice to know that you're here. Miyuru from Sri Lanka. Wow, that's amazing. So let me see what I have from his resume. Okay. All right. So the initial part, right, where he mentioned the contact detail, he added his name and surname, nice. He added the email address, nice. Phone number, just make sure that the international code is here. So I don't know if 94 is the number already or the international code. So you always want to add international code, considering that when you talk about remote companies, we have people from different countries, so they might not know the international code for Sri Lanka in this case, so you want to make sure you add that. Then he wrote LinkedIn, and then he wrote his name here. What is the problem in this part that I highlight? LinkedIn, and then Miyuru. Sorry, I won't try to pronounce it. Probably mispronounced it, apologies. But what is the problem here? What is wrong here? Let me know in the chat, because I already spoke about it in another resume from a slightly different perspective, but I was talking also before today, the importance of adding the link to your LinkedIn profile in your resume. So what is the mistake? What is missing here actually on his resume? Why am I highlighting that? Why am I bringing this to your attention? Let me know in the chat if you know it already. But if you didn't, I will tell you, because this is important, and this is a very common mistake that I see. Instead of adding the link to his LinkedIn profile, he just wrote his name. And I understand the logic behind it. So he probably thought, well, if the person types my name, the person will find me, which is partially correct. But remember, we need to be connected to the person on a certain level to find the person on LinkedIn. If the recruiter is not connected up to a third-degree connection with him, even if they type his name, his name will not appear. So if you're not understanding what I mean with the three-level connection, it's a bit complex to explain now. I just want to say that not everyone will find you when they type your name. There might be another person or several other people with the same name and surname. That happens also. So it's just like too risky to put it like that because the recruiter might not find you, and you don't want to take risks on your resume, Miyuri. So make sure that instead of this, remove your name and you want to add the link to your LinkedIn profile, just like you did with the email. When I put the mouse, I already see that I put the mouse, and if I click, it will open your email. I can write you an email directly. I want the same thing to be done with your LinkedIn profile. The link in a way that when I click here, I go directly to your LinkedIn profile. That's important. That makes the recruiter's life easier. That's exactly what you want to do with that. So don't write your name here. Write the link to your LinkedIn profile. All right, that's the first comment. The second comment is also about the contact details. It's this part here, full-time work rights, okay? When you say full-time work rights, what I understand is that you, like legally, you have the rights to work remotely, not remotely, sorry, work full-time, right? You can work full-time. The paperwork, like your documents, your passport, whatever, allows you to work full-time. That's how I understand. But when you say work rights, it might change a lot from country to country. And when you talk about remote jobs, we are dealing with, different laws, different requirements, different things that are specific for that company, that industry, that location, and all of that. So when you say full-time work rights, I don't really get it. And I suspect that it won't apply to every remote company you apply for. So I don't really think this add much. I was actually reading it like 2 or 3 times and trying to really get it, and I still didn't. Fusion. And who will tell you if you have the work rights to work in the company is actually the company, because they might have a requirement that you don't meet, unfortunately. So even if you say, I have the full-time work rights, they will say, no, not the, you don't meet the requirements that we have to hire you. So this is kind of useless. So you can just remove this phrase, because every remote company will have slightly different rules. Every country, every kind of contract, every agreement between you and the company might change. So this really will vary a lot. Okay. It's the second comment. And then, okay, the third one, I will scroll down and I will go towards the end of his resume. Keep scrolling down. He's a lawyer. Nice. Still scrolling down. Yes, this is the part I want to talk about. The last phrase, actually, that he wrote on the resume. So he wrote references available upon request. What can be improved in this part? This is a very common thing. I see it, still see that in a lot of resumes. So what is the point of writing these references available upon request? Or in other words, why I am commenting on it? Let me know in the chat if you know what I'm going to talk about now. Or if you guess, maybe you're not sure, but because I'm pointing it out, you're like, oh, what is wrong with that, right? Because Juliana is talking about things that can be improved. If she's highlighting that, then it means it can be improved, right? Exactly. Now the question is, what can you improve about it? Why am I bringing this part, reference available upon request, to your attention? The reason is simple, but a lot of job seekers still don't know it. So let me share that with you so everyone knows. Before, years ago, it was very common to write that on the resume. Pretty much every single resume I received 5-10 years ago when I was working as a recruiter had that at the end. It was just like one of the things that you had to write on your resume. It was, as you write your contact details, your summary, your work experience, your education, everyone was writing references available upon request. So it was kind of the way to go. But as things change, we don't recommend it anymore. It's not necessary, because first, when you say reference available upon request, you're just saying you need to ask me for the reference, but that's kind of obvious, right? So if you're not sharing the references, which you shouldn't be doing, so don't share contact details of other people, don't share reference, so you should never share it. So obviously it is available only upon request. So people, the recruiter, the HR person needs to request you that. So it's kind of obvious this, but also it's a precious space of your resume that you could write something else maybe one achievement, maybe demonstrate that you have the skills the company is looking for, maybe highlight the IT skills that you have that are relevant for remote jobs. Anything is better than this, because as it doesn't add much value, you are wasting time, wasting precious space in your resume to write something that, yes, I mean, if they need the references, they will ask you for that. If you provide the references, they will check that. If you don't provide, they might eliminate you in the process. It's as easy as that. So you don't need to say that anymore. But I know this is very common. It used to be a thing years ago, but it's not necessary anymore. Also, it gives the impression that the resume is like old style resume, you know, it's like an outdated resume. It gives this impression. So the intention is good, because, you know, it used to be relevant to mention that, but now it's not relevant anymore. And it's kind of obvious. So you can just remove this part here. There is no need to keep it, because it doesn't really add much value. Okay, so Miyuru, if you are watching live, please say hi in the chat. Let me know if the correct, if the information was relevant to you. All right, let me stop sharing here and see what is in the chat. Oh, Priscilla said that this is not LinkedIn profile. Yes, I think you were referring to writing the name, right, instead of the link to the profile. So yes, this is not the link, this is just the name. All right, now we go to Ana. Ana, I know you were here before, because you said hi before. So Ana Silva, we are going to review your resume now. So shall I keep going, or everyone is tired? Do you want to see more resumes here? I'm gonna drink some water. I'm still here, still excited, still have things to share, but let me know in the chat if I should keep going, or if you had enough already. Let me know. Send me some energy in the chat if you're learning. If you want to watch more, please let me know in the chat. Oh, Anna is here. Amazing, amazing. Anna, let's do your resume. Yes, nice. Very good. Ana Silva. Yes, amazing, Anna. Nice that you're here. It makes it more exciting to review when someone is watching live. But if you're watching the recording, I'm also happy that you're doing that. So Anna, let's start from the beginning. When I look at your resume, and probably everyone else is feeling the same way, it's very beautiful, right? It's beautiful. The colors stand out. There is this blue tone at the back. Then there is a profile photo. So visually, it's like very beautiful, very, very interesting. It really called my attention when I looked at your resume. And then I realized I know some programs, right? So I'm assuming that you used Canva to do the resume, right? It's this more fancy format, and you have some symbols here. You have like the blue color and the black, and then you have like white color for the name, and then here the font is in black and all of that. So it's a very beautiful and colorful resume. Why am I bringing that topic up? Because the format also matters when you write a resume. Someone wrote in the chat earlier, two people actually, I won't remember the names, but two of you mentioned that you don't know how to pass the ATS, the applicant tracking systems, the platform that filters resumes. Sometimes you apply for a job and then you're not even contacted by anyone. So in the initial screening, in the first step, your resume didn't move forward and all of that. So the format of the resume might be playing a role on it. Anna's resume is beautiful, is fancy, is different, but Anna, unfortunately, there is a risk that some of those programs that automatically filter the resumes when all the applicants apply for the job and the recruiters start searching for keywords and specific things like, I want someone with auditing experience, someone that speaks English, someone that has 7 years experience. Criteria like that, or different ones, just to give you an example. So when recruiters use those applicant tracking system, those filters, some of those programs that filters, that extract the information from the resume, some of them will not read resumes in this format. Why? Because it has this one column here. Some programs, they don't read columns, they just read text like that. This is written in white. Some programs will not read a text in white. The photo, some programs will not read the photo or those symbols here, like this, those emojis that you are writing, right? That you wrote here. So you pretty much wrote in 2 columns your resume. This is one of the things that some of those ATS systems don't read. Then you might be thinking, but Juliana, how am I gonna know what is the software behind the company's website that I applied, the software using the remote job board I applied, so I can make the adjustments? You won't know. That's the thing. You never know. You just see the website where you apply, but there is the backstage, right? The back end. There are the things that happen once you forward your resume. So you never know what is the system, what is the filter that they are using. That's why I normally suggest that the more simple, the better. If you have a Word resume or a PDF resume, there are more chances that the programs will extract the information, the text, and increase your chances of moving forward. If they cannot read what is written in white, for example, then they will miss everything that is written in white. If the program doesn't read 2 different columns, then it will, they won't get information. If the photo also makes the program confusing, it won't work. So it's a bit sad because, as I said, it's a beautiful resume. And attention here, Anna, and everyone that has like a Canva or a more fashion resume. If you're going to send your resume to a person via email, LinkedIn direct message, it's like you sending your resume to me, for example, like Anna did, there is no problem because there is no machine, there is no software in the between. But if you are applying for a job on LinkedIn, applying for a job on the company's careers page, applying for a job on a remote job board, then my suggestion is that you go to a more boring layout, basic resume, Word or PDF, work on the content. Content should always come first, then appearance. You should care more about what you wrote, how you wrote, the information that you share, how relevant it is for the job you want to apply for, and care less about the appearance, unless you are sending that directly to a person. But if you apply to a job, there is a risk that some programs, not all of them, they keep changing, they are more modern. But as we don't know, I prefer to say the old-fashioned Word resume or PDF resume always work. So go for the basic with a strong content. So content over layout on the resume, okay? Even if this one looks more beautiful, but we want one that. My second comment is about the photo, okay? As I mentioned, some of those programs that will filter the resume, some of the ATS, they don't read photo, they don't understand that. So it's kind of a waste of time to occupy such a big space in your resume to put a photo that some programs will not do anything with that. The second reason that I recommend not having photos on the resume is that it's a global tendency. Okay, most of the countries, they are going towards not having photo on the resume. And the main reason for that is that you should be evaluated based on your skills, on your profile, on your experience, and not on your appearance, okay? Photo can lead to discrimination, unfortunately. So when you don't mention the photo, the person is reading only the information and deciding if they want to interview you or not based on what you did, your skills, your studies and all of that, not based on, oh, she's pretty, oh, she's too young for the job, I don't think she's capable of doing that, or oh, she's too old for the job. You're looking for someone, oh, I don't like her hairstyle, oh, she's too modern, this kind of judgment that unfortunately can happen. Then you might be thinking, Juliana, on LinkedIn, I need to put my photo, right? On LinkedIn, I might not mention the photo on the resume, but they will see my photo on LinkedIn. So what is the story? Why are you saying that, Juliana? Well, it's true. That's a very correct approach. On LinkedIn profile have the space for a photo. It's actually the round one, like she did Here on LinkedIn, the round photo is your profile photo, right? On LinkedIn, it works differently. The algorithm, the robot behind LinkedIn, will give more visibility to profiles with photos. There are some statistics. I think it's like 44%. I'm not completely right, uh, not sure, but there are statistics that confirm that a LinkedIn profile without photo gets much less visibility in general to recruiters, to hiring managers, to everyone, and also it doesn't generate credibility. So on LinkedIn, if you don't add your photo, it looks like it's a fake profile or that you're hiding something. So it's completely different the way the photo works on LinkedIn than the way the photo works on your resume. Of course, you can add a photo on your LinkedIn profile and people can still discriminate and judge you. I know that's a fact, unfortunately. But if you don't add a photo on LinkedIn, your profile will have less visibility. The algorithm doesn't like it. So on LinkedIn, you must have a profile photo. On the resume, my suggestion is that you don't add a profile photo unless it is clearly specified in the details in the application process. Sometimes they say, please upload the resume with photo. Well, in this case, yes. I mean, only if you want to apply for the job, right? If you say, I don't want to add my photo, then you don't want to apply for the job. But sometimes they specify, please upload a resume in PDF with photo. That's it. But unless they say it clearly, my suggestion is that you don't add your photo, okay? It's a global tendency that more and more resumes don't have photo. And okay, I will scroll down on a resume. Let me scroll down here, and I'll go to the last line, actually, the last word, right, that you wrote. You wrote achievements. I don't know if there was a second page that I didn't get, or if you forgot to write the achievements. I just don't understand what is like achievements, and then there is no further information. So actually, Anna, as you are live, let me know like what you wanted to say with this achievement. But this is kind of out of nowhere. There is no further information about it. So this is a good example because sometimes we don't review our resume before sending it to the recruiter, before applying for a job. Or what is even more common is that you had the resume, right? And then you were making adjustments on the resume. You removed one thing here, you added another thing and all of that, and then you forgot to make a final review. Probably that's what happened. That's why this word achievements is here without the achievements. So make sure that before you send your resume, before you apply for a job, you always review to see if there is something missing, because I was actually curious to know achievements. Achievements are results, like positive impact generated in the company. And I don't know which I got without the information. So just make sure that you review your resume, everything before you send it to the job, to avoid leaving like, pieces of information that doesn't make sense. All right. Anna, let me know. Okay, she's here, and the symbol show where I have achievements. Let me see. What you mean is that this is an achievement. Is this what you mean? Where you added this triangle, it is an achievement. Okay, as I said in another resume, it was not clear to me. So not that I am the smartest person in the world, not this, but as it generated confusion to me, it might generate confusion to other people. When you're listing the achievement, you can say before that achievement, or you can just don't mention achievement and describe the achievement. So I would still remove this because, yeah, this word here out of context as the last word of the resume. I think it doesn't make sense. But yes, I get your point now. Very good, very good. Nice to have you here. Let me know if it was helpful, Anna. Everything that I shared, let me know if it gave you some ideas to improve your resume. And now I want to go to the last one, Mabel. I don't know if Mabel is here. Mabel Rivas, if you are here, just say hi, and I will, let me bring it to the screen. Mabel Rivas. Let me bring her resume here. Yes, nice, nice. Abel, if you're here, just say hi in the chat so I know that you are watching. Um, Mabel Ribas. All right, let's see. Okay. All right. Mabel Ribas, I will talk about her profile, a professional profile. Okay. She wrote a lot of things, but I want to talk about specifically this last phrase that she mentioned, the one I highlighted here. So, on the last phrase of her professional profile, Mabel wrote, when I think about what is next in my career, I want to be part of an organization that has the same values as I have. Okay, nice. What are the values? I don't know which values you have. I only know that you want to find an organization that has the same values. So this phrase doesn't make clear what values are you referring to. And also, it doesn't make clear that you researched about the company and you already figured it out that this company, specific company you're applying for, has the values that you're looking for. So it's a kind of, this phrase doesn't add much because I don't know what are your values. You didn't demonstrate that you took the time to understand the company's, the organization's value. So it doesn't really add much. If you want to talk about value alignment, like I value a lot career progression. And I noticed that the company X offered this option. Therefore, I'm applying for this position, this company. That's a different story because you're being specific. I don't know, career progression. I don't even know if career progression is a value. Yeah, probably not. There was a bad example, but like constant growth, constant improvement. Yeah, that would be related to career progression. So it could be like, let me rephrase that. Let me say that in a better way. One of my values is constant growth. And after deep search about the company, I realized you give the opportunity for employees to grow and progress in their career. Therefore, I want to work in companies like yours. That's different. But when you just say same values as I have, I don't know your values because you're not sharing. I don't know if you know my company's values and goals and principles. So it's a kind of fluffy phrase that doesn't add much. So if you want to talk about alignment, make sure you are more specific with that because then it helps to sell you. Everything that goes in your resume, Mabel and everyone else, of course, is to sell you. This is a marketing material, right? The resume is not to share what you're thinking, what you're wondering, what it would be the ideal situation. No, this is to sell you like, hey, I am the best candidate for this remote job. Call me for an interview. This is the thing. So it needs to be like straight to the point and keep that in mind. This is to help to sell you for a remote job. Okay. Um, what else? The work experience. Okay. I know what is that. Look, when I read her experience, right, I see that look, her current job is as an art teacher, previous job also, and then front desk agent, right? So she had three jobs, or she mentioned three jobs here, being two of them as an art teacher and one of them as a front desk agent. So two different kind of jobs, right? Art teacher and front desk agent. Nice. I got it clear, the dates, everything, bullet points, all of that. But then let's go back to the professional profile because check here. This is the phrase I want to highlight. Sorry, highlight again. Yes. So I think one of the keys to my success is my natural curiosity and a strong willingness to learn new things. For example, I recently completed a talent acquisition and hiring course to learn more about the recruiting process. Nice. I see that she likes to study, to keep learning. She's actively learning new things. Very good approach to life and career in general, in my opinion. But the fact is that she took a course in talent acquisition. Talent acquisition is another way to say recruitment. Okay, talent acquisition and hiring. It has nothing to do with art teacher, and it has nothing to do with front desk agent. But Juliana, what is the problem? It means that we can only study things related to our job? No, not at all. Actually, if you want to pivot your career, if you want to change career, one way to do that is studying something, getting the theory, and then you shift to the career. So that's amazing. I'm always studying things. But what caught my attention here is like, why is she highlighting a course that has nothing to do with what she does now or what she did in the past? Why is she highlighting that in the professional profile? Because I told you already that professional profile is to highlight the most important things on the resume and make it convince the recruiter that the recruiter should keep reading the document. Just confirming the match between I meet the requirements. This is a requirement in the job description. I have this kind of, it's making a match between the job requirements and what you have to offer. So this mention the talent acquisition course here and the hiring course is out of nowhere. I don't see the connection. Maybe, I'm guessing, I don't know, but maybe Mabel wants to pivot her career, to shift to talent acquisition and hiring. That's the first thought that came to my mind. That therefore she studied that. That makes a lot of sense. I love the approach. But then instead of saying, I'm thinking about the next step in my career, saying better say, I'm interested in changing careers and start working as talent acquisition and hiring, as a working in talent acquisition and hiring. That's different, because then I understand why you are highlighting this in your professional profile. But if you're just sharing a random course that you did that doesn't add value, that's the point. It doesn't help you to be a better art teacher. The fact that you are studying talent acquisition and hiring, it doesn't make you a better front desk agent to study talent acquisition and hiring. It is good that you keep learning, but when you go to your resume, make sure that you mention only the studies that are relevant to the jobs you're applying for. Why, Juliana? Because that's what the recruiter will be screening on your resume. So out of this professional summary, maybe half of it could be replaced by something that is more relevant. Sorry, I cannot highlight it properly. Yes, like that. Maybe all of that could be replaced by things that are speaking more directly about the jobs, remote jobs you want to apply for. So be more clear. Mabel, if you want to pivot to talent acquisition and hiring, amazing, because you already have the course. Good. That could be a possible career path for you, but then you need to say key, because otherwise it looks like she worked as art front desk and then art teacher. Now she's talking about something else. Can be confusing for whoever is reading your resume. And as I said before, we don't want confusion on the resume. We want to make things very, very clear. All right. And then, that's nice. Last but not least, I will scroll down. Scroll down until the skills part. Yes. Here, something very interesting happened that I see. I see it very often. It's such a small detail, but I'm sure more people are making it, because I see it all the time in different resumes. So it's good that we can talk about it. Check that. The first thing that she mentioned was Spanish fluency native, right? So I understand that Mabel, her mother tongue, right? Her native language is Spanish. Amazing. But then think with me, in which language the resume is written? This resume, in which language is it written? In English, right? So only two options here. Or she speaks English and she forgot to add. That's the common mistake that I see. You forget to add one of the languages that you speak. And the second is that she doesn't speak English at all. She just had someone translating her resume to English. So if you don't speak a language, there is no point in having a resume in that language. So for example, I don't speak Russian, to give an example. So I don't have a resume in Russian because I don't speak the language. I speak Portuguese, I speak Spanish, and I speak English. Only those three languages. So I have resumes. I have a resume in Portuguese, written in Portuguese. I have one resume written in Spanish, and I have one resume written in English, because it just makes sense. Use the language I speak to write a resume. So probably Mabel forgot to add English, but don't forget to add that, because it's important for the recruiter to see your level of language. So she wrote Spanish, and also she said native fluency. So I know that she speaks perfectly Spanish. That's good. So if I'm looking for someone that is fluent in Spanish, she is a good option. But if she had written, for example, Spanish basic, and I was looking for someone with an advanced Spanish level, then I wouldn't contact her. So you need to be sincere. It's not about lying, but you need to say the language that you speak and also the fluency level, like which level: basic, intermediate, advanced, native. Um, and also don't forget to add your to add English or to add your mother tongue, because sometimes it's so obvious that, like, she speaks Spanish because she was born speaking Spanish, and that she doesn't add that. So in this case, it's the English situation. So I'm assuming that she doesn't speak English. That's why she has a resume written in English, but she forgot to mention a language. A language is very important, especially when it comes to remote companies that you deal with people from different countries, different language, right? It's extremely important. So don't forget any language that you speak. My suggestion is that if you speak a language in a basic level, I don't really see the point of adding that, because it doesn't add much value. But if you want to add, it's also fine. Or if they say in the job description something like valuable Spanish, and then if it's a valuable, not like the main requirement, you can always add that, and it will, yeah, add value. But in general, I would say from intermediate up, because that's the language that you can properly communicate. If you have basic language, then probably you won't be able to do much with that and won't really add much value. Okay. I want to share again the QR code for my group mentoring program. In case you liked this live, you see the value, you see how I can help you, potentially help you in your remote job search. Scan this QR code. This is gonna take you to my landing page with all the details about my group mentoring program starting next week, the 31st of May. Let's work together for 2 months. You're going to have my full support in your remote job search for 2 months. You can ask me as many questions you need. I'll be there to support you. There will be 8 live classes for you to learn from me directly. Classes will be recorded, so if you cannot attend the class, you don't miss anything. And also you have access to exclusive community with other job seekers to support each other, to learn from each other. And you have access to a platform, a website where I have already 60 different pieces of material, all related to landing a remote job, pre-recorded videos, checklist, activities, articles, all of that to make your life easier and to get your results faster when it comes to landing a remote job. So scan the code. I will also add it like that. Yes, or you can type your remote job now.com/finally remote. Finally remote is the name of my group program. Okay, so if you have any question about it, just drop me a message, send me a message, let's talk. But I would love to have you in my group mentoring if you are fully committed to land a remote job faster. That's what I do for my clients. I'm here to do it for you too. Okay. Before we finish, let me know in the chat if you have any other comments, any questions. I would love to hear your main takeaway from this session. If you're watching live, thank you once again for being here. If you're watching the recording on YouTube or on LinkedIn, thank you also for your time. Thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful to you. And if you're live, let me know your main takeaway. What did you learn today from this session? It'd be nice to see that. Let me know in the chat before we finish. What did you learn from this session today? Any final comments? Any final questions? Let me see, and then I will finish in the next minutes. Thank you once again for being here. Thanks for the interaction in the chat. Is always nice. And yeah, the idea is to make the live useful to you. So if you ask me questions, I have the opportunity to answer you live, and it's much better, much more interactive like that, right? So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the live. I will see you in another live soon. Okay, take care. Bye.